for example, do you think that a guy who desires a woman with a low body count, who doesn't have a promiscuous past, yet, for example, he might be promiscuous, or he's got a bunch of women, or he has a high body count, do you quarrel with that? Do you take an issue with that? Because you mentioned you have an issue with asymmetry. Do you have an issue with that?
100%. Like I said, I think it's your prerogative to find someone who matches your values. I'm highly selective. I want a partner who's also highly selective. I don't think that maps onto body count because, for instance, if a girl tells you, like, I have 80 bodies, you can't deduce how selective she is because that could be...
No, you can deduce she's not selective if she has 80 bodies.
You can't.
Yeah, that's a bit high.
You can't
because...
That's a bit high.
Wouldn't you argue women have access to fuck every single man on this planet?
Sure.
She still has a 99.9999% curve rate.
80s.
You're proving my point. That means 80 is pretty high. That's a lot of penis.
I'm saying context is important, and I wouldn't... Context is important. I wouldn't reduce it to just a number. For instance, body count usually just refers to penile vaginal sex. Like, would you consider her selective if she has just a ton of lesbian sex?
But she's like fucking ran through. That's the issue. She's ran through.
Ran through in a very specific way. They don't care if you fuck 1,000 women, but one guy they care about.
Wait, let's be very clear here.
AIDS, so yes, I do care if they fuck 1,000 women.
Sure, but typically the traditional body count conversation doesn't care about that.
Here, let's have Justin come in. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to be very clear about this. You're looking for a fair situation, but newsflash, the world is not fair. Like,
men and women are different.
That man is going to get up and go through stress every day and face the challenges of the world while you have a pretty cush life. Men have always slept with multiple women. It's not fair. It's bullshit. I know it hurts. I know it sucks. I know it's not a good thing to say, but it is absolutely true. And you are at the top of your sexual marketplace value. And there's going to be... She's 24.
Am I past it? Yeah.
No, you're at the... No.
You're about to...
I'm 2 days old in 24.
No, it's all good. You're probably at the top. But let me tell you where you're not. You're not at 30 where you're out of time and you want to have children and you're absolutely in love with the man and he loves you in every way and you feel safe around him. You're not in that position yet. So you can't see an outcome where you would give a little to take a little back. And I'm cool with that. But I will tell you this, when you get up higher in age and the clock's ticking and that man's good to you and you trust him and you feel safe around him and he's truly your best friend and you look up to him and admire him, then you might think differently about how you feel now. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just telling you that your opinion might change in time.
Sure. My point was in response to his, which is, would I have a problem with the asymmetry of wanting a woman with a low body count while having a high one? And I would, because what I consider a valid reason for preferring a partner with a low body count is that it's better for pair bonding. You're less likely, if you don't have that propensity to seek novelty, you're less likely to stray. People who are more promiscuous, they tend to be more unfaithful.
Correct.
That cuts both ways.
Those studies do not. The studies clearly show that it is far, far more likely the case with women than men. In fact, in some cases, after a certain amount, it's negligible with men. With over 20, when women have slept with over 20 men, it's like a 17% chance that she's still happy in a marriage. For men, it does not show that drop off. It does when we're talking about virgins. We're talking about 2 virgins, yes. But the thing, the question you asked before, what is the one thing before you went to the bathroom that you're most upset about with dating? It's that people don't look up these studies. That is the one thing I'm the most upset about. People are listening to Oprah Winfrey and Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and Dr. Phil. They're not listening to Dr. David Buss and Stephen Stewart Williams and Gad Saad. There's studies on every one of these questions that we have, and they've been handled. Beauty is not is subjective. It is objective. The fact, like hypergamy, is not something that is created. That's cultural. We know now that it's genetic.
Sure. Let's stay on topic. So my point was that like guys are seeking virgins, so the reciprocity of that would be a guy who's also a virgin. Like you just said, you can cite a study that proves that when both partners are virgins, there's a higher, like the pair bonding is more intense.
Correct. So
but you're not going to be attracted to a man that's a virgin.
Yeah, that's the other problem. Yeah.
But guys typically, when they talk about body count, their ideal body count is 0 in a woman. So I was giving you the converse.
Uneducated guys who don't fuck.
Yeah, those guys don't have sex. Look, you want a low body count. I'll say a single-digit number is probably what you're looking for as a man.
I'm not even saying I'm looking for that. Like I said, I don't think you can deduce selectiveness from a number because context matters. You could have gone through a breakup and been traumatized and maybe fucked 80 people in 1 week, but then you were abstinent for 6 years.
I'll say that was a broken bird.
That still makes you a hoe.
That's a broken bird.
Go ahead. I got one, but go ahead. Let her go.
Okay, I just think... Okay, you're overcomplicating things. Again, everyone's overcomplicating things. I don't think anyone wants to sleep with a woman or settle down with a woman who has 80 bodies. That's disgusting.
How am I overcomplicating? I'm breaking down why...
I know you're breaking it down, but it's something that doesn't need to be broken down. Most people, if they hear that you have 80 bodies, they'll be like, I bet you fucking has AIDS.
Let me tag something on at the end of that there. The reason why men have a sexual, I won't say revulsion response, because there's a human revulsion response, but it's it's intense for certain things, like you want to get away from a dead body. Like you want to get away from a dead body. You want to get away from things that smell, like feces.
Fear of heights.
Yeah, fear of heights.
Sulfur.
There are things that human beings are instinctually want to get themselves away from, okay? When you're looking for, when a woman, it seems like she's easy, or she's had 80 bodies, or she has children from another man, there is a hesitation in men that is instinctual. And the reason for that is because that woman represents a bad bet for his paternity. That's why the body count matters to guys, and it doesn't matter quite as much to women. For a guy who has a high body count, I believe it was Sterling who was saying this, is that that is like one of the highest ways of demonstrating higher value, or pre-selection, that's what it was. Because if a guy knows his way around your body better than you do, you know he fucks. You know that he has been rewarded by other women who have had sex with him in the past, enough so he has the experience to know what he's doing in the bedroom.
Right.
So there's that aspect. But then the other part of it is this, is that the reason why promiscuity works one way for men and it does not work for women is because of that paternity. It's the understanding and the ascertaining whether or not the child is his child. Because since we were living in hunter-gatherer groups on the sub-Saharan African plains,
up until 1980.
Yeah, until we could actually
Up
have
until 1980, we didn't
DNA
have
tests,
paternity tests.
Yeah, so men have, it's been in our biological, evolutionary, innate interests to know or to try to ascertain whether or not the baby is our baby. So that's why men mate guard. That's why when women and men get jealous because of infidelity, men tend to focus on the physical act. Did you have sex with him in the bathroom? Did he come? Did he have a bigger than I did? Did you get off? Those are the particulars that guys want to know when infidelity takes place. When a woman gets jealous because of infidelity, it's, do you love her? Am I losing my investment? Is my long-term security with this guy, is that in danger? That's where that jealousy comes from. So there's differences because men and women are different, and we have different priorities when it comes to reproduction as well as family creation as well. So when we're talking about 80 bodies, when you say, hey, I've had 80 guys, that's a pool of 80 men in which one of those guys, or probably some of those guys, could have been the guy that you can't get over. Or maybe he's the guy that whether he did or he didn't doesn't make any difference, but he's still thinking, like on a hindbrain, lizard brain level, that there's a possibility that she was impregnated by one of these guys and she can't get over that guy. You're a bad bet for my paternity.
Yeah.
Sure.
Your response?
I just love that we revert to these primordial justifications for wanting a woman with a low body
Where
count when
else do you
guys
wanna
are
go with-
fucking
where
with
else- where
condoms.
else would you go
when
with
guys
it?
find it
Where
hot
else
when
would you
girls
go
are on
with it?
birth control. If guys' main prerogative is to like spread their seed, then why is it they're looking for women who are on birth control? They're attracted to women with IUDs.
They're not
It's not
for
an
women that are
intellectual
There's no
thing.
study.
I didn't say it was.
They're not
I'm saying we use
cognitive
biology
doing
as an excuse when in reality biology
nobody's using
refers
it as
to
an
life
excuse.
and life's
Using it as an
processes,
excuse.
and our
And we're using
capacity, our
evolution as an
capacity for
excuse, not
culture, our
primordial.
capacity for culture falls under biology. Our development of paternity tests, birth control, condoms, that all falls under biology and our capacity
Culture
for culture.
is downstream from biology.
Yeah,
You don't get society, you don't get social construction without biology first that drives that.
Yeah, I think you're over intellectualizing a lot of this. Like like you said, it could be boiled down to biology.
That's
Like-
not a response.
Well, no, I just think that
It is a response.
No, it is
but
a
your
response.
question is it right? And his response is, this is why it is. So the problem is, what people will do is they'll say, this man is just, what is this, a small energy or whatever thing that they have to say to make or denigrate men for having some sort of preference. And the reality is these things happen because men have 17 times as much testosterone as women. And throughout our evolutionary history, we are the ones that were the disposable gender. And because of that, we compete with other men for women. The men who make it to the top throughout history have had more sexual partners. That's just the way that it's been. It's not an excuse. If you have every right to think it's wrong if you want to think it's wrong, but it's not hypocritical because we're different. If you and I were to join the Marine Corps, I have to do more push-ups than you because the world is different for men than it is for women. If you and I were to join the fire department, I have to do more pull-ups than you because men and women are different. And so in this case, it's the same thing. I am not sure of the paternity of the child, of your child, but you always are. And because of that reason, your body count will always matter more than mine. That's just a function of biology.
That's the justification for not being polyamorous, not having a high body count. So that makes sense why you wouldn't want your girlfriend to be fucking 10 guys at once because you wouldn't be able to discern it. If a girl fucked 80 guys 10 years ago and has been abstinent still, how does that justification
Doesn't
apply?
matter.
Fucking
It's an
disgusting.
innate
It's
kinda
hesitation.
still.
Okay, I also just wanted to say on the topic of biology, women literally they menstruate around like male testosterone. Like the more they're exposed to testosterone, the more they have sex, the more their cycle will align with that because of a very biological thing.
What is your point?
My point is that you're just intellectualizing again something that is very basic.
What does menstruation have to do with this?
Because women. Sorry,
Go for it.
I'm not finished.
That's all you. That's all you.
I mean, you said you were in
That's
COD
all
lobby,
you.
so you should be used to this,
Okay,
right?
but you said go ahead and then.
Oh,
All right,
no,
just
difficult.
go.
Okay,
Just
what
go,
I was just
say your
saying
thing.
Was that biologically our bodies
Closer
do,
to the mic.
Yeah, our bodies do sort of correspond with males. Like it's like the testosterone that they emit kind of triggers something in us, like the pheromones. So you can't just intellectualize something when it's already so.
Okay, you wanted to go. Go ahead.
Basically, the reason why men cheat is not because they don't like the girls. For us, like when you sleep with a guy, we're emotionally invested. For a guy, he's not emotionally invested into us. Most of the time, it's just the heat of the moment. And then the next morning after, and the next morning after, you know, that one night stand, there's that post nut clarity that he feels like he doesn't see a life with you.
That's the
He doesn't
oxytocin kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, he doesn't see a life with you, and he doesn't see you as a partner or relationship or
For
anything.
her, it's oxytocin.
And
For him, it's tryptophan.
and for a female, it's, you know, for guys, it's all performance. It's performance based. For females, we don't really do as much during, like, you know, when we're on the bed. It's usually the guys.
Can I clarify something here really quickly? Because what you're bringing up is kind of a common misperception. Okay, it's like, well, and I see this in the chat as well here, is that it's like it's no longer the devil made me do it. It's my biology made me do it, and we don't have any control over it. No, we absolutely are responsible for our own actions and for as far as the results and any of the consequences that come after that. I'm not, saying that we should be absolved of any of those things. The other thing is that you're conflating what's known as was a proximate goal versus ultimate goal. So in an evolutionary perspective, I might want, like when I met my wife for the first time and I saw her at the club, I didn't go, I wonder if she'd be a really good mother for my children. I wonder if we could start a family together and we could reproduce and like my focus is on actually, breeding with this woman that I just met in the club. My focus is on, I want to tap that ass. That's the proximate goal. The ultimate goal is having kids and having a family and everything else. Now, that ultimate goal is something that is also downstream once again from the biology. So proximate goal and ultimate goal are both downstream from the biological fact that this is what men are about.
Yeah.
Just one thing on biology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Rollo, you were making the argument, hey, it's kind of based in biology, paternity, uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of objected to that a little bit. At least that was my impression.
No, I didn't object to it.
She's not.
I'm saying the objection could also be based in biology.
Sure.
Wait, what's the objection?
Well, no, it's
But
the
you-
biology made me do it. My selfish gene made me do it.
I'm saying our evolvement of culture is also biological. Like you said, culture
it's
follows
downstream.
downstream.
But our involvement in culture is always set up so that it fits our biology. Does that make sense? We don't build cities made of sulfur and ammonia, right? Because they're toxic to human beings, and we don't generally jump off our balconies every day. We have elevators. Our societies are created for the safety and procurement of Homo sapiens. So that's biology leads culture. Does that make sense? In every case, biology leads culture. But it's never the other way around.
I think what you were kind of getting at is you were saying, well, when you have sex with someone, you mentioned birth control, for example. Well, why?
God damn.
What's the deal with birth control? You recall when you were saying that?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my response to you is, well, if you're kind of saying men should disregard their sort of innate biological response to this, then shouldn't women also, for example, disregard their attraction towards men who are tall, for example, which has a root in biology? Or, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying men already disregard that biological need when they fuck with a condom on, because if their goal is to spread their seed, because that's what the biological instinct is. But he kind of made the differentiation between a proximate desire and an ultimate desire.
Or a conscious desire and a subconscious desire. You have a neocortex. That's what separates you from lizards. You can cognitively your genes have no your genes don't understand what contraceptives are. If your genes understood what contraceptives are, they never let you use them. Your genes want to replicate themselves, but you cognitively understand what contraceptives are. You subconsciously do not, and that's where the conundrum comes in.
Exactly what Michael said. Like, you can want to spread your seed. That's the objective of sex, right? But you can also do that at a time where you're not ready to have a kid. So your biology, your genes, everything is telling you, like, I want to go through with this. Your brain up here is saying, I don't want a kid right now. So it has nothing to do with that argument at all.
Well, I would say also most people who are having sex, it's more for it's like casual.
It's recreational.
Recreational, yes. I want to have just a little back and forth with you.
The thing about the tall preference.
A little bit, but it was more so, I guess you said it was a bit of a double standard, right? Well, you say, okay, when it comes, like, for example, a guy who has a high body count, you object to him desiring a partner who has a low body count.
But then how come short women can desire tall men? Is that what you were going to ask?
Well, you're preempting me a little bit there, but basically, I mean, I guess my question to you is it wrong to desire things in a partner that you yourself do not possess?
No, and I don't think that was the basis of my argument. We were talking about a study which posits that 2 virgins have the optimal marriage success rate. So I'm saying in that's not...
Well, I think you're shifting a little bit, because initially I think you were saying, well, I don't know your exact wording, but it sounded like you objected to, for example, a guy who has a high body count desiring a woman with a low body count.
Yes, in that specific instance, but I'm not making the generalization that you can't want something that you personally lack. Well, I was saying in that specific instance, it doesn't map on because of the study we mentioned, where it does map on.
It's not reasonable to hope to, like, I'm just going to be honest with you, the probability of the person you marrying being a virgin is infinitesimally low. You understand that?
Why? I thought guys are more often virgins than girls. It's way harder for guys to get laid.
No, I agree with that. You won't be attracted to him. No matter what you tell us about your energy and the connection and the chemistry, no offense, like, I just don't believe that you fully understand what you're attracted to. I think later on, once you come to the realization that you keep finding these certain individuals attractive for certain reasons, and those reasons have to do with hypergamy, you're going to come to the realization that the things that cause those men to be virgins are the reasons why you won't be attracted to them. And the likelihood of you finding a man that you have chemistry with is far more likely with a man who is attractive to the opposite sex. So the likelihood of you finding a dude who is also a virgin it becomes progressively lower, and probably lower the longer you wait. It becomes progressively lower.
Well, I just wanted to go back to the point where you said, like, oh, they're f***ing us with condoms because they don't want to have kids. I think the reason why they're f***ing with condoms, not you specifically, but in general, is because you've made yourself so easy. Like, they don't want to fuck someone who might give them gonorrhea, in my opinion. I think it's more of a safety.
No, they want to other girls that they don't want to get
I don't
pregnant.
think she's wrong, but I don't know where that came from.
No, I don't know. No. It's been stuck in my mind.
It's the proximate goal. Like, I want to get off with that girl. We got
It was
it.
a dunk that came out of nowhere, but I don't know where that. I don't know how we got there. There's a loose ball foul. Yeah, technical too, but 2 free throws. That was a good point, but I don't know how we got there.
Question for you: is that an expectation that you have? Do you think that's going to happen for you?
Marrying a virgin guy?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
No, I don't care. Like I said, I don't conflate selectiveness with body count. I've reiterated that several times.
Okay.
That I don't value the guy being a virgin. I want someone who's selective and has high standards. Because to me, that's what correlates with infidelity. So.
Do you think there's men out there that would be with you and have not slept with women that are less attractive than you?
Wait, can you rephrase that?
So, for example, if you date a man, would you expect that all the women that he had slept with would be at your level or higher?
Oh, that's not even technically what I meant by selectiveness. I more so don't want to date a guy who's so horny and down bad that he gets like one DM from a girl and he jumps on it. Does that make sense? So that's what I judge fidelity on. That's like the parameter I use, not body count.
Okay, but can I ask you a question? Because you're over here saying that you yourself are not selective, but you want the guy to be selective.
When did I say I'm not selective? I
she's
said I'm
certainly
highly
selective.
selective.
Well, no, but
Allegedly.
you were saying how, like, you don't care if, like, they're fat, if they're this, if they're that, if they have more money, if they have less money.
I'm selective, just using a different metric than you are.
So you just want them to be, like, smart and funny, basically.
Yeah, I would say that's still highly selective. The average person is a dumbass.
The average person is actually average. The average person has a 100 IQ. I understand what you're saying. The average person is not a dumbass. It's just they're overrepresented by, sorry, I'm going to go down a path and I'm going to get myself in deep shit. Sorry.
Oh, we got another one?
Yeah, and
Got a live one?
We got a couple super chats here coming in. I just wanted to kind of put a cherry on top on our little conversation. So what I was kind of getting at, and I don't know if you've kind of almost walked back your position a little bit, but I think it's this whole thing of women objecting, for example, to a man who has a high body count, and he doesn't want a woman with a high body count, or he wants a woman with a low body count. I mean, women desire traits in men all the time that they don't possess themselves. They want a guy who's funny, but they're not funny. They want a guy who's rich, but she's not rich. They want a guy who's charismatic, but she's not charismatic. So, I mean, I think it's both men and women desire traits in partners that they themselves don't possess. Men and women we're not equal.
Sure, if I prefer a brunette guy over blonde, that's a preference. When guys talk about preferring a girl who's a virgin, that's not their preference. That's a philosophy. They're saying a girl who's a virgin. They're saying a girl. It is
a preference.
It's a preference on the fact that they think that girl is less likely to cheat. They think she'll make a better wife. When I prefer a brunette, it's not because I think he's gonna be a better husband. It's not because I think it'll propagate the nuclear family in America more than a blonde. But when they talk about girls with low body counts, that's kind of what they're propagating.
So what you're saying is that it's
they're conflating. They're
preference?
conflating. I'm saying they're not really referring to preference. They're saying there's a reason they use the term low value woman. I'm not calling a brunette a high value guy or a blonde a low value guy. Red pillars will call a girl with a high body count low value and a girl who's a virgin high value.
Well,
so it's not preference. They're mapping it onto what they consider objective virtues.
If I prefer a woman with a low body count, isn't that a preference?
It is, but you know the sphere we're referring to, the red pill sphere, they'll say that's an objective
A man who
virtue.
has never even heard of these terms.
Have you heard of
could
the
have
red
a
pill sphere?
preference.
I've never heard of this.
Red pill sphere, is that what we're
I don't
calling it
know.
now?
What is-
I
what
thought it
is-
was a manosphere.
What
I
red
thought
pill
it
is
was-
this? What is this
Yeah,
thing
red
she
pill.
speaks of?
I don't know why you're attaching this. I mean, before the red pill's a fairly new. I mean, within the past 10 years, really.
20 years.
Get the book, by the way.
The difference,
Rational Male, by the way.
what marks a preference is subjectivity, but when guys talk about girls with low body counts, they're typically thinking of it in an objective way. So even a guy who's not red pilled, they'll probably say, this girl with a low body count is objectively better, right? That's why
I'm
it's
really
still a
not
preference, but
Right.
you understand what I'm saying?
But that judgment is based on their biology, and it's based on subconscious effects that's happened through evolutionary psychology,
But
right?
it's not really a preference
don't
for
think
them
so.
specifically. They're saying it's a
But
preference
better
for their
for what?
gender.
Better
Men
for
just
what?
don't want to fuck
Huh?
whores.
Better for what? Yeah, they do.
Okay,
Better
but
for
they
what?
want to fuck whores, but
What
they
do you
don't
mean?
want to like.
Every
wed.
man
woman-
wants a slut. He
Okay,
just
they
wants
want
her
a
to be
slut,
his
but
slut.
like they don't want to marry that slut. Yeah.
Every man wants a slut. He just wants her to be his.
So if
Yeah.
I like brunettes over blondes, I'm not going to say girls prefer brunettes over blondes. When guys say I have a preference for low body count, typically they say guys prefer girls with low body counts. Do you understand why that's not necessarily a preference? Because
No,
they're
it's
not
still-
they're not
it's still a
speaking
preference.
specifically for themselves. That's why I'm saying it's more of a philosophy.
I prefer vanilla ice cream over poop ice cream, and that's because of my genetics. Like, that's the reason why.